I think of this as a fireside chat. We're just talking, and we're having a conversation about Merge for Equality's program for early childhood educators, and we're not trying to be a polished production. When somebody is thinking about attending our upcoming webinar, they might learn a bit by viewing these videos. Or if they might be interested in hiring us to run a training, they might find these videos and listen to them. So people in the movement, people in the early childhood educator field, both. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Craig Norberg-Bohm. I am the Administrator and Program Coordinator for Merge for Equality. Merge for Equality is a program of NAMA and the North American Men Engaged Network. I invite you all to visit our website to learn more about our networking. Merge for Equality is happy and proud to offer training for early childhood educators about developing healthy boys. People often ask about what our goals are. We would like to answer that question for you today. Let me introduce three people involved with the program. Shane Joseph, a board member with our parent organization, NAMAN, Stephen Botkin, and James Arana, who are both senior trainers with Merge for Equality. I want to welcome all three of you here. And Shane, I understand that you have a few questions about the goals of this training that we offer. Love to hear what those questions are, and we will answer them.
What is that strategic objective that you hope to get from having this training?
What we do is to give a good example or ideas about how we as boys and men got to be the way that we are. You know, the things that we like and appreciate about being boys and men, and some of the things that we don't appreciate about being boys and men, but really how we got to be the way that we are right now. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. And we have been able to come up with a process to help people have this analysis.
Because we've been evolving our strategic response for almost 40 years. The answer to the strategy question has changed over time. Initially, it was get men into men's groups and have men talk to each other and learn how to be vulnerable with each other and support each other emotionally. Then we thought, well, the way we can really influence on a bigger level would be to take the lessons that we learned from those men's groups and share those with other people around the world and see how they could be adapted to different cultural contexts. The answer that we came up with most recently was, if we're looking for long-term multi-generational change, we have to change the way we raise boys. And in order to change the way we raise boys, we have to influence the people who are most involved in the raising of those boys. One of the most important groups of people is the child care providers, the early childhood educators, who have a tremendous amount of contact at a very vulnerable age, at a very impressionable age. And we know that socialization of gender starts very, very young. And that if we can influence those people to have a bigger understanding of what healthy masculinity is, what does it mean to grow up to be a healthy man, and how they can play a role in supporting boys in healthy ways, that we might be able to influence a whole new generation of people growing up in this world.
I've heard you outline various themes. I'm hearing a sort of group modality. I'm hearing evidence-based. I'm hearing the themes of vulnerability, male socialization. I'm hearing early caregivers. I'm hearing the whole aspect about healthy masculinity.
The process that we've gone through over the years is really a public health model. When we first started, we were picking up the baby as they were coming downstream and doing a great job trying to help people take the baby out of the stream as they were coming down. And as much as we were doing, babies were still coming down the stream. And so we decided to go upstream and then figure out where is it that these babies are being dumped into the water. And so that's the process that we've used. When we first came in, we were working with men, to work and help them to see how they can be part of the solution. And as we continue to do this work out of, Men's Resource Center for Change, MRI, so we wanted the whole world to be able to see and understand how this happened. And then in this process, we say, if we really want long-term change, we really have to see how this began. All along the way, we noticed that to work with people who are in this early childhood education perspective was really being on the front line so that we can really minimize the amount of babies that are being dumped in the water. So that's the process. That's the reason why we ended up looking at how to engage people who are the first line workers with our gems, our magnificent babies, humans who are coming into the world, to be able to pay attention to the way that we raise them.
I have a follow-up question, because what then would you identify for me, if I was interested in being a participant, that I can deduce from the training? What would be the two top objectives I would be leaving this training with? I want to be a participant. I would like to learn more. What two things would I consider as my top priority or my top objective if I was to I'm hearing evidence-based. I'm hearing the themes of vulnerability, male socialization. I'm hearing early caregivers. I'm hearing the whole aspect about healthy masculinity. What then would you identify for me if I was interested in being a participant? What would be the two top objectives I would be leaving this training with?
I can also answer based on what we've heard people say after the training in terms of what they got. And the two things come to my mind. One is, I never thought about it this way before. So what people get is a awareness, a perspective on boys and men as humans. They suddenly start to understand the experience of being male in this world in a new way.
They get an analysis that is not from our perspective, but from their perspective, what it would mean to have healthy boys and girls. So we don't come with a suitcase with the answer. People from their own experience come up with the same analysis that something needs to be done differently, and this is where it needs to take place.
And the other thing that we've heard a lot is, and I can do something about it immediately. People come back from a first day of a training, and they said, I just talked to my husband or my son in a way that I've never talked to them before. And we had a conversation that I didn't even realize would be good to have. And so that there's an immediate sense of the ability to do something practical and direct in our own lives and in our own experience.
I'm hearing again three themes. I'm hearing that awareness, it has been awakened. It has now come alive. And I'm also hearing a sort of recognition to want to do things differently because of the new information that have been presented. Like, wow, I did not know that. I did not realize that I have that option. And thirdly, I'm hearing an energy that has now been deposited by the awesomeness of the facilitator, just listening to that history. I have become invigorated. You will not be bored. It is really practical.
One of the things that happens in this process that we use, it really names the elephant in the room: boys' experience with violence. When we do this process of defining violence from subtle to extreme forms of violence, and what those kinds of behavior have on the human entity, we realize that young boys, young girls, humans are impacted by violence, but we many times we don't believe that boys experience violence, and in that way continue to perpetuate that disconnection of boys' feelings. And I think one of the things that people walk away with, I say, oh my God, I did not realize how readily it is that boys experience violence and people don't notice it or pay attention to it as violence. They just say it's normal.
Giving boys more room in a certain way to be fully human is not something that we feel comfortable with necessarily. So when we have a boy who wants to play in the dress-up area in the classroom with dresses and dolls, are we comfortable or uncomfortable? Are we supportive or unsupportive? Are we just to kind of get to talk about all of these things? And this training helps bring the early childhood educator in that space into that space in a real welcome way. The trainers are hungry for this conversation. They haven't had much space to talk about it. So another whole aspect of the training that we do when we take a full day, this particular training, is to also introduce some thinking about using story time as an educational space. Story time in the classroom's day is important to the kids. The kids enjoy story time and relate to one another in special ways. And we have a book campaign selected books that cover this subject of gender inclusion. We give a few books away if at all possible in each training. And we have a method called the whole book approach, using open questions and engendering a conversation with the children versus the more common way of telling a story, which is simply to read the story. So you may read the story, but you may dwell on other aspects of the book, such as how it looks and the color and the imagery and the experience of this with the children. This is a very experiential and engaging way to share a story with children. And so we actually demonstrate a storytime model that is a technique and a skill that teachers can come away from this training with.
One of the things that we know is that when sometimes when we're reading books to children, we use it as a way to quiet and to really direct the thinking in the story that's coming up. This process that we are using is not one of quieting the child, but really saying that we are interested in hearing what the child see, hear, and think. So this process really get the young genius, the young creative, the young person to open up their mind, and it's really giving them the opportunity. So we're saying we really want to hear what you see, what you think, what you are imagining, which means that there are the one who is, and this is a tough word for adults with young people, that they're controlling the story through their imagination. And it gives us the opportunity to really hear, see, and support them in their vision. And we just ask a few questions. What is it that you see? What is it that makes you say that? And even tell me more.
We use storytelling in this training in a number of different ways. It really does anchor the methodology. The first way is that we tell the story of the little boy. And then we engage people in what do you see? What's your experience? How does this work for you? And then we will turn to this whole book approach and be talking about engaging young people and engage them in the same imaginative process. Like, how does this work for you, this story?
Many times there's no space for boys' story. And this brings us full circle, is that many times people will say, like, oh my God, I didn't realize that I had a story to tell, or that anyone would be interested in hearing this story. And that's why, we use this process in reminding us that it's never too late to tell your story, and that you are not alone in holding your story. And we want to support getting this story out.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, James. We so appreciate your thoughts and your words today, your help to explain the goals for Merge for Equality training on developing healthy boys. And to all of you, thank you for viewing this video. Please visit our website to learn more and to arrange for our full day training events. Thank you.